This unit is about linear functions, including linear expressions, equations, and inequalities. Last week, we talked about linear expressions, and we used them to add or subtract polynomial expressions and to determine the quotient of polynomial expressions when we divide. This week, we've been talking about solving linear equations. Remember, the only difference between an expression and an equation is that an equation has an equal sign. This can be equal to another expression or a number. If we want to review for our quiz coming up, we can use the expanded map on the back of the UO. Here you'll find questions that relate to what we're learning, and you know that if you can answer the questions on the back of the UO, that you are ready for the quiz. So, the question that relates to this week's topic is right here: solving linear equations. I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger. Remember, every problem that we solve in algebra this year needs to be solved using the UPS check method. This helps us show work and earn more points. Work is worth more than having the correct answer. You can have the answer correct, but if you don't show any work, you will not get points for it. So, if I want to use UPS check for this problem, my first step is the U, understand the problem, and I do this by underlining and highlighting key terms and then defining them. So when I look at this problem, this word solve sticks out to me. And I know that to define this word, I would say solve means to find an unknown value. So I'm going to write a note of that. And when we say unknown value, what are we really talking about here? We are talking about our variables. In this problem, our variable is the letter x. Another important thing to note is what our final answer should look like. Our final answer when talking about solving equations should always be in the form x equals, or whatever variable you have. I don't know what this equals yet, so I can't put anything here, but I want to point out the importance of the coefficient, or the letter in front of x. When solving equations, your final answer should always have a coefficient of +1. So I'm going to make a note of that as well. This will help me know if I have truly finished solving the problem. Another thing I need to remember with solving equations is that we use inverse operations. What are inverse operations? The word inverse means opposite, and the word operation means anything we use in math. So think of this as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. There are my 4 operations. Now I need to think, what are the opposite of each of these operations? The opposite of addition is subtraction. Likewise, the opposite of subtraction is addition. What is the opposite of multiplication? The opposite of multiplication is division, and the opposite of division is multiplication. Now that I have planned how I'm going to solve this problem. I understand what the problem is asking me, and I know that I'm going to solve it using inverse operations. I now can use some different strategies to look at the equation itself to help me solve it. The first thing I always do is draw a straight line through the equal sign to help me split the two parts of this equation in half. When I look at the first side, the first thing I notice are parentheses. I remember from last week, parentheses mean to distribute or multiply. As a reminder, distribute means to take the number in front and multiply it to each term inside of the parentheses. So here I see one term and then I see two terms. So I'm going to say, what is 2 times 3x? Negative 2 times 3x. And then I can say, what is negative 2 times negative 4? I'm going to go ahead and simplify both of these. Negative 2 times 3x. Remember, when we go to our calculator, we don't plug in the variable, just the coefficients. So I have negative 2 times 3. I get negative 6, but I remember I have an x up here. The x sticks with it, negative 6x. This one's nice and easy because we just have numbers. Plug it in exactly how we see it. Negative 2 times negative 4. And we get positive 8. I have simplified the first half of this equation. If I look at the second half, the right-hand side, I see no parentheses, so I don't have to distribute. Do I see any like terms that I can combine? I don't see any like terms because this term has an x and this term does not. So I just bring both of those terms down and set them equal to my left-hand side. When I solve equations, I always want my variables on the left and my numbers on the right. How do I move this negative 2x that's currently on the right, how do I move it to the left? I move my negative 2x by doing the opposite or the inverse operation. So here, this negative sign means subtraction. So since I see subtraction, I do the opposite, which is addition. So here is minus 2x. I'm going to add 2x. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I add 2x to both sides. Negative 6 plus 2x. Negative 6 plus 2. I have negative 4. I remember to keep that x with it. Negative 4x. Nothing happened to my 8. It stayed the same. I can just bring that down. Be careful here. Negative 2x plus 2x. That made my 0 pair. Those are gone. We can cross them out. And then bring down our positive 10. What's next? The next step is to move our positive 8 to the right-hand side. We do this by using the inverse of addition. The inverse of addition is subtraction. So I subtract 8. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And I get a 0 pair here. Then I am left with negative 4x on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, I have 10 minus 8, which gives me a positive 2. Am I done? I'm not done because in my understand portion of the problem, I said my final answer should have a coefficient of 1. Right now I have a coefficient of negative 4. I'm going to erase to give myself a little bit more room. When I look at that coefficient of negative 4 in front of the x, and I ask myself, what operation is happening there? Negative 4x. Do I see addition or subtraction in between the 4 and the x? I don't. So I know that it's really multiplication. How do I undo multiplication? I need to divide. What do I divide by here? Well, I just want x, so that means I have to somehow get rid of this 4. If I'm multiplying x times 4, then I'm going to divide by the negative 4 to get just x. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Negative 4x divided by negative 4. Those 4's cancel, and I'm left with positive 1x. And then on the right, I have 2 divided by negative 4. That gives me negative 0.5. Now am I done? Well, I've finished solving the problem, but I'm not done because I haven't checked my answer. So if I go and plug whatever value I got for x, in my case I got negative 0.5, I should be able to plug that number back into the original equation, and it should read as a true sentence. I need more room, so I'm going to go to the next page and rewrite my equation. There's my equation, and we said that x should equal negative 0.5. I'm going to go ahead and plug this back in. So that means I'm replacing this x and this x with negative 0.5. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this so that I don't get confused. I have negative 2 parentheses 3 times negative 0.5 minus 4 close parentheses, and that should equal negative 2 times negative 0.5 plus 10. Our order of operations, or PEMDAS, tells us we should look at the parentheses first. Inside, I go multiplication first, before my subtraction. 3 times negative 0.5. That gives me negative 1.5. I'm still subtracting that 4, and it's all inside of parentheses. On my right-hand side, I have negative 2 times negative 0.5. I get a positive 1. I bring down my plus 10, and now I'm ready to simplify even further. Again, I'm sticking with my parentheses first. Negative 1.5 minus 4. I get negative 5.5. Don't forget that's being multiplied by a negative 2 out front. Then, on my right-hand side, 1 plus 10, we know is 11. Final step. I can now multiply my negative 2 times negative 5.5. Negative 2 times negative 5.5. I get positive 11. So my left-hand side equals positive 11, and my right-hand side equals positive 11. So this reads as, does 11 equal 11? Well, they're the same. So yes, that checks out. And we know that our answer for x was correct. X equals negative 0.5. I know that there are a lot of steps in a problem like this, but remember, showing all the work, first of all, helps you get the right answer and earns you more points because, again, showing work is more important than the right answer. Good luck on your quiz. I know you can do it. Come to office hours if you have any questions at all. And good luck, guys.